Hi, I'm Steve Chervony, and along with my colleague Tanya Mchale, and we'd like to talk to you today about two types of marriages that end up the same way, even though they're very different. One is a parallel marriage, and the other is the hot fighting marriage. And the problem with both of them is, while it seems to be going along fine, the possibility of being blindsided or having a filing of divorce, which happens usually right after the first of the year, is a possibility. And it's something that I didn't want to look at, and you probably wouldn't either. And that's why I'm going to talk today about me. I was married for 10 years, and it was love at first sight. I think by the second date, we both knew we were going to get married. And had separate lives to a degree. I was a commodity trader, spent a lot of the time out of the house, but I was back home by 3 o'clock every day. And my wife had been a school teacher and decided to do other things. She taught for a while and maintained her lifestyle, whatever that was, and we were fine. We got married, had an apartment, but we had roles. We played roles. And then we decided to become parents, and we moved to the suburbs, and we did parenting relatively well. Our kids are phenomenal, well-adjusted, and successful. At the same time, we kind of grew apart, and I was happy. I liked the job that I had. I loved being married to her. I liked our kids. And for me, things were constantly good enough. There were edges that showed from time to time in that my wife would have episodes where something just was ajar. And that would come up abruptly, rarely, but it occurred. And I wasn't able to put my finger on it. I tried to ask, but there was a price which was about withholding. And I would say there was a degree of withholding on my part that I didn't pound an answer, which would have been, there seems to be something bothering you and you're not telling me about it. And on her part, it was, I just don't want to talk about these things. And this went on for years, as it turned out. And it was right after my daughter's 6th birthday. My son was 1.5, when one day my wife had gone out with a friend, showed up back at home, and walked in the door and said, "We're getting divorced." That's a parallel marriage. You do your thing, she does hers. And to the degree that you're not being transparent, that you're not being honest, that you don't treat everything as an opportunity for growth and engagement, because at any time I would have thought we could go back to where we were when we started, which was love at first sight. And somewhere early we lost that and never got back on track.
So that's the parallel marriage. And another type of marriage pattern is referred to as the hot marriage. And hot marriages generally have a level of confrontation in them that make them hot. On one hand, in the hot marriage, there is two separate beliefs, two sets of beliefs, I should say, in each partner, about who they are and what their role is. And one belief about the couple is that the other person is not necessarily going to give them what they want. It's hard for the person who holds that belief to believe that it's about them and their expectations versus about their partner, because in these types of marriages, one of the partners is creating a list in their head about how they're not living up to their end of the bargain. The other partner is not living up to their end of the bargain. So in one of the couples that we work with, there's this pattern going on of a set of beliefs around, I have to take care of myself because no one else will care for me. And the other element that the partner was holding is, I can't regulate my own behavior. Somebody has to yell at me in order for me to be in control. So they then will approach each other and with the hope, ostensibly, that the other person will act like their marriage partner. And surprise, surprise, the other person always ends up acting like a parent in that situation, the parent that they grew up with individually. And then it goes into the evidence bowl of why that person is not doing the right thing. So that creates these hot spots where my expectation, I can't tell you what I want because you're not going to live up to my expectation anyway. So that's just an example of two different marriage patterns that we see. You want to add to that?
There's a constant conflict in the second marriage piece, the hot marriage, where there's self-fulfilling prophecies going on. Each of the people involved has a comfort zone, and they keep getting back to the comfort zone by recreating a conflict and then not resolving it. And when we see conflict, you can either escalate or you can moderate. You can get back on the same page. You can deal with each other not as you saw your parents and not as a set of expectations, but rather you can get back to a new place where you see yourselves as individuals that have needs and wants and be able to express those.
Yeah, so those patterns help us understand more about who we are. And we have another piece that's coming out that's going to talk about some other elements of how we work with couples. And in the meantime, have a great day.